Take your position. The show is about to start.
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to On Screen, where we discuss all things cinema all the time. Here's your hosts.
the award goes to
Joe Brunett, Joe Cuffney, and Jesse Reichenstein. Lights, camera, action.
Scream.
This is a very exciting episode for me because this is probably my second favorite movie of all time. And I had to pick it at some point. So this is Scream, directed by Wes Craven from 1996. And yeah, I'm really curious. Joe, you've seen this, right?
I've seen this a bunch. Yeah.
Okay.
I also like, of all the horror movies, this is probably one of my favorite too.
Okay. And
I feel like it's a very meta movie. But
oh, dude, it's literally meta. It's like, I mean, yeah, it's so meta. It's ridiculous. But one of the reasons why I picked this, not because I was going to pick it anyway, but like, Jesse, you mentioned David Arquette recently, and I was like,
yeah.
I just got to pick it at some point because you got to see this guy. And
did you watch the late night clips with him?
Yeah.
How like funny and
funny.
Like strange he is. Like, yeah, and his like laugh and like, I don't know. I just was so fascinated by who he is as a person.
Yeah. Now, what did you think about him? Oh, okay, let's go.
Let's just rate the movie and then we'll be done with it. I'd probably say this is probably my favorite scary movie, probably.
You know what's funny? It was originally called Scary Movie. That's why this movie, Scary Movie, is called Scary Movie about Scream. It's even more meta. So
interesting. Yeah, how to put it? It just feels like this is what a scary movie should be. Like,
it's the American Pie of horror movies.
That's exactly it. And they even like, they make fun of, like, they don't make fun of it, but like they acknowledge that by being like, hey man, like, you're going to be the first one to die. Like, don't go off on your own or whatever.
Right.
And like it's almost like self-aware of what it is. You know what I mean?
And what makes it the best is that like, it's funny. Like it's a horror comedy for sure, which is funny because I don't like horror comedies and it's my second favorite movie of all time. But this is like the perfect horror comedy movie because it's hilarious, but then it's terrifying. So
yeah, it's I mean, we talked about some good comedies. I don't know if this is a good comedy.
Comedy second.
I also just like how maybe it's because I don't love horror movies that like the kills are like pretty for a horror movie, like just pretty normal.
Except for the
like
opening one.
People.
The opening one is pretty brutal, but
yeah, there's some, I mean, it's still, out there. It's a horror movie, but
there's gore.
Oh, for sure. And we'll get to, there's some things with the ending that I kept being like, what is happening? Why is this person back? And like, wait, what? Why wouldn't you kill her? There's so many questions. But for like the most part, it was just like in your shoulder.
Honestly, on the gore front, like these type, like, I don't know, like older horror movies don't bother me as much as newer ones for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know.
But like this is the type of things, like just like getting stabbed or something, like somehow is like less bad to me than like, I don't know, getting like picked apart, like Saw is what comes to mind.
Yeah.
I hate Saw.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah,
I can't do a lot of gore.
The one thing I have to say also is Matthew Lillard. Because I've never watched these.
He's the best freaking character.
He's, Shaggy, Scooby-Doo. And this gave me a whole new appreciation for Matthew Lillard and how good he is as an actor.
That's why I put him on a pedal. He's so good, dude. He's so underrated.
He's so good in this. Yeah. Like, and I'm just like, oh wow. Like Matthew Lillard, now I get it. He's amazing. Now he's graduated from just Shaggy. He if you want to talk about the comedy too, I think he nails it the most.
Yeah.
The one that kills me is at the end when he's they're in the house and he's like on the phone, he's like bleeding out of his arm and stuff. Oh, that's it. He's on the phone because she disappeared. She's like, I called 911, like they're gonna be or something, and he says something along the lines of, my mom's gonna kill me. So mad at me. And I like that's like, I feel like encapsulates like why he's so good, and like he nails the comedy part in this.
And do you know what's great about this is that, spoiler alert, you can tell like it's fun. I love watching. I could watch this movie over and over again. It's fun because each scene, it's fun to see which killer is in which scene. And I feel like Matthew Lillard's character is more like he's the guy who falls more, like he's the clumsier one. And I also love that the killer falls a lot because they're just high school kids. Like they're gonna be clumsy, they're gonna fall. They're not seasoned killers. So I love that too.
Yeah, there's a real, I don't know. It's just such a good premise of like an actual.
And cell phones like were just coming out at this time, so it was perfect. Like it was awesome.
It's almost like awesome because of its simplicity, which is like partially the time period it was set in. Like totally. It almost feels, especially watching it now. Like I'm sure it felt a little more normal at the time, but like it just feels like a simpler life. I don't know.
Yeah, I do not disagree.
There's definitely something too with, I'm trying to remember with how the original Halloween, and especially watching the movies that made us like series on it, and how when they started it, like it just has that, there's something about it that has that same feel of like being self-aware and like kind of funny and like different and like oversimplified in a way. And like there's a lot of the original Halloween vibes to this to me, and just like the way it was made.
Oh yeah.
Or like the way it was written and created. And
that's the beautiful thing about Wes Craven, man. He was like, he is so good. And like I think he knew exactly what he wanted to make. And it's funny because Wes Craven, I feel like I relate to him a lot just because he's not a typical, like if you look at him and meet him, you wouldn't be like, oh, this guy's into horror. Like he's just kind of like clean cut, just kind of like, yeah, like very quiet.
Janitor, right?
He what? Yeah, he's the janitor as dressed as Freddy Krueger, which because he did Nightmare on Elm Street. So that like stuff like that, like the whole like references to everything, and it's just so good.
This made me want to watch the newer one, which I
saw. Dude, yes, it's on digital now. You can watch it. But the cool thing about the new one is that like they bring it back to like the original, like the same. It's a lot of the same tone and like a lot of the same. Like they talk about horror movies and who's next and all this stuff. That's what I love about this movie because it's almost like a murder mystery kind of because it's one of the friends, but you're like, who is it going to be? Like that's I don't know. It's just fun.
It honestly made me think about. I mean, I've seen this before, so like it didn't like I knew the ending, but it reminded me of the character in Hot Fuzz being multiple people.
Yeah.
And how like yeah, of course it's going to be at least two people in dressing up as the Scream character,
And that was so rare for this time.
Great.
Like there was never two killers. You're right. You're like, it's like that was like revolutionary for the genre and like movies in general. Like no one expected that.
Right. And this did come before Hot Fuzz. So
yeah.
Maybe Hot Fuzz.
I mean, Hot Fuzz is cult. It's got horror vibes. I don't know, man. It's definitely, I don't know.
It's a great premise for a franchise too, that the killer is like not a person, it's a persona. So it's like,
right.
You can just make other people the killer, even though it's like the same thing. And also that it's like, it's like you said, how it's just high schoolers. Like it's the whole costume is just a Halloween mask. Like,
right. They found it at a store.
It's not like a horror villain, Freddy Krueger.
Right.
It's a little like, again, to tie it back to like how Michael Myers is like,
it's just a mask.
But it's even like another level of like, this is like Party City,
right.
level. But it's got that same, like, it's just like, oh yeah, a kid picked up this mask.
Yeah, it's crazy. And yeah, What was your now was your David Arquette perception what you'd expect?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so just fascinated. Like it's so hard for me to watch him in stuff now because he's like too normal in
Okay.
I don't know if normal is the right word, but like you watch him in like late night and stuff, and you're like, I just want that guy, like in the movies, like I don't need him to act. I think he's a really great actor when you like see him in late night, and then you're like, wait, that person is this person.
Right.
But I just want the original David Arquette and everything. I don't want.
I get that.
Acting.
I can
I
see
don't want
that.
that.
I thought it was so funny. There was a scene, and this just shows how like comical his character is like kind of like written. But like there's a scene where he's talking. Sydney and Tatum are at the grocery store, and Dewey's talking to his superior outside, and he's eating ice cream. And it's like he asks him the questions, and he hesitates, looks up and talks. I'm like, that's like funny. Like that's supposed to be funny. It's just like this guy's ridiculous. Like how is he a cop? Like
Yeah,
it's so good. And he just gets better as the series goes on.
scary movie vibes too, right there.
Exactly. There's so many like references in this, like there's so much trivia, and like Linda Blair was in this for like 2 seconds, who plays Reagan from The Exorcist.
The Blair Witch. Oh no,
it's a little girl from The Exorcist. Like there's a lot of things like that where Wes Craven just like, oh yeah, horror movies, you're in, like all this random stuff. But it was funny. Apparently David Arquette and Skeet, who played Billy, apparently, or no, I'm sorry, Matthew Lillard and David Arquette apparently both tried out for Billy, the main, the boyfriend. I was like, that would be interesting. But there's a lot of like that. There's Joaquin Phoenix almost played Billy. There's a lot of random people who almost were in this movie. And like Drew Barrymore was originally approached for Sydney's character, but then it was Drew Barrymore's idea to kill her off early because she was such a big star at the time. So she's like, if you kill me off, people will not. It's kind of like the Psycho thing. Like that's what happened in Psycho as well. And it's cool.
Sydney is such a Nev Campbell.
I think it's Nev. Yeah. She's great.
She's so good.
She's badass.
It's like, yeah, she nails that role. Like
she's the best.
It's so iconic now.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking back, she was on Late Night with Adam Devine. I don't even remember why she was on. This was like in January or something.
Now I want to know. Are they in a movie?
And they like, I don't know, but they like had Adam Devine started biking a lot, and so they got him a late night like jersey, like sponsoring him, and it was Nev Campbell's face on the back.
That's funny.
With him. Like I don't know. It's just like a weird thing that popped into my head when I saw her. I was like, oh wait, that's who that is.
Wait, that's hilarious, actually.
But also, we need to talk about the ending.
Let's do it. Oh wait, can I read one more trivia fact?
Yeah, go for it.
So Roger Jackson, who played the voice, the Ghostface voice, apparently none of the cast members met him throughout the whole movie. And Wes Craven was like, no, we're just going to have you. What did he say? It said, Craven thought it would be better to bring out the shock reactions he needed from everyone when they heard the voice. Because they never met him. They never heard him talk anything. And apparently, I think it was supposed to be kind of like they just did it on set and they were going to like dub it over with a different scary voice, but they just kept it because it worked so well. I was like, definitely works. It's a great voice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's kind of a classic voice.
The whole reporter thing, like
Courtney Cox was awesome.
I love her in these movies.
Yeah, isn't she the reporter who like gets like they thought she was dead, and then she comes in with like the gun, and they're like, wait, I thought she, and he was like, I did think she was dead.
Yeah.
And then they like throw her again outside or something, but they also don't kill her again. And so she like then comes back in.
No, it's because they put her on the porch and they have like the gun, and he turned because the safety was on, which is why she didn't fire, because they knocked her on the ground, took the gun, and he's like, the safety was on, or yeah, whatever, turned it off. And then Stu was like, Sydney's, I think it was Sydney in the kitchen, and Stu was in the kitchen, and Sydney left because Matthew Lillard turned his head, and he's like, Billy, we got a problem here, man. And he's like, what? I could probably act this whole scene out.
But then I don't know, man.
But then, no, that's what happened. And then basically he turned away because Sydney was gone with the gun and the voice changer. And then she called the house and did the whole thing.
Yeah, but I mean, again, they're high school, like,
yeah,
we're not talking about crazy killers, but I'm just saying, like, I felt like throughout the end, I kept being like, well, why is that person still alive? And why do they keep coming back?
Well, she needs to be here. The reporter.
Yeah, I know, and I'm just and then like I don't know. A lot of like people should die, and then they shouldn't, and then they aren't dead, and then like like someone gets stabbed, and then I don't know, the other guy gets shot. She like stabs him with an umbrella through like the shoulder.
Oh yeah.
Great like scene, like when she like jumps out and like they like tumble.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's like really impressive. Like I don't know what this stunt coordination is, but like that's cool. Good job tumbling there. Yeah, just insane. I don't know. It was a good ending though, but
great
again, just like too many times people kept popping up, and I was like, what is going on?
Love it.
I do love them. Like I thought they were gonna like basically kill each other when they like.
They almost did.
Yeah, like that's where I thought it was going. I was like, oh, they're just gonna like murder each other. He's gonna be like, Stu, see you later.
You could almost see how they
died over him, man.
Yeah, he's like, you did that really hard.
Yeah. When he says the Houston, we have a problem thing, when he like taps and the phone's gone, that was ad-libbed because apparently that was when like NASA was doing something with that. So it was like big in the news at that time. But I don't know if that was fun. Did you, Joe, you've seen this, but Jesse, did you think it was those two guys, or who did you think the killer was?
I mean, I wasn't sitting there trying to like, I don't know. I kind of was just watching it, but like those two were weirdos, man. Like,
yeah,
something was off. I didn't know like what was going to play out, like kind of. And I don't know. I didn't know how this ended, obviously, but like I kind of knew the premise of Scream a little bit.
You've probably seen GIFs and stuff too of like at some point in your Twitter life.
Yeah, so like it was one of those things where it's like, oh, probably like I don't know if there's extra to this story, but like something's really off with these. Mm-hmm. Like when, I mean, I don't know, when someone's like, how would you do that?
Oh yeah.
Was that on the fountain, by the way? I mean, dying to talk about the fountain with
I can't wait.
But and he's like, and then he basically like describes skinning a person or something, and you're like, oh yeah, like clearly, or like it's gonna play into like you should think it's this guy and it's not.
That's what the whole I think was like. Billy obviously is the clear suspect from the beginning. It's like, oh, of course it's him, but then you're like, wait, it's not him, which is the genius part behind the two killer thing.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, they had the Friends fountain though.
Yeah, should we
let's talk locations? Yeah,
we gotta talk locations because you guys, we have all been to some of these locations.
I forgot that these were some of those locations until the fountain, because like after I'd always be like, guys, we went to the Friends fountain or something. I kept in my head, like after we went, I kept calling it the Friends fountain because I knew it wasn't Friends, but I couldn't remember like actually what it was. And then as soon as I saw like the fountain, because we like recreated like with the people sitting in the exact way, and so it like so instantly clicked of like, oh my god,
we were there,
that was the fountain. And then being like, oh yeah, of course, like the high school, like I don't remember what else
that no one knew Scream was filmed at when we were there.
Sonoma County Town Community
Center. It was a community center.
Sonoma County Community Center.
Yeah, a bunch of old people taking an art class.
But you know what's funny though is like, and maybe this is just because it was like a trip to go see this. Like, it didn't take me out of the movie the way it did when I saw like
Drunk Bus
locations in RIT for Drunk Bus. Yeah, like that took me out of it for some reason. But like, because we went to look at those locations, like I was thinking like, because like we walked the whole community center. I was like, where in the community center was this? Like when she ran down the stairs, I was like, oh yeah, I think I actually know exactly which stairs that was. But it didn't pull me away. Maybe it's just because I've seen it before, but
that's cool though. That's really interesting to hear.
I do think it like added to it a little bit. It made it more fun.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah. I like that you had both perspectives on that.
Now, if you go back to RIT though, you have to be like, oh my god, this is where
Drunk Bus was.
It's like, no, you went to college here, and you're like, no, man, this wasn't college. This is where Drunk Bus was filmed.
Pineapple was here.
Yes. But yeah, we did the community center. We did the fountain. The fountain is also there's like a shot of like just a town shot, and that's right next door. And then the police station was a bakery, which we went
I
by
do
as
remember
well.
that, yeah.
And then
What was that town we were?
Healdsburg,
Okay,
California.
it was a cool little
it was super cool.
There we got into a bunch of shops. I think that's where we picked up that 49ers book, right? In one of those.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. There was like a lot of cool little shops,
Yeah.
in that little like court area and like that fountain. It was like a very beautiful, weirdly cinematic little place.
I
and
agree.
then there was the house. It was private property, but it was just like a residential house, right?
You mean Stu's house?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one actually recently was purchased, and people I think they tour it now because I think people do tours. And Meyer's house, the guy who does the on-set cinema, he actually had a screening there recently. I know Airbnb's done things with them, but it is private property. Like you can't just drive up there because it's a long driveway. But that is a house I would love to go to, love to stay at. That'd be awesome. And then Sydney's house is also kind of, and same with Casey, who Drew Barrymore's character. Both of their houses are kind of like in the middle of nowhere, private properties. So we didn't get to go there, but we did go to Tatum and Dewey's house. Remember, we were out in the front yard. I didn't go to the house, but I wasn't like
took a picture in front, right?
Yeah.
Is that where I was like out the side?
You were in the car. Yes, you guys were in the car.
Photos.
Yes.
And I love there's like a mini video of me taking the photos, being like, wow, this looks great. And you're like,
yeah. I was doing some random ass poses.
For some reason, I was thinking that was like a Halloween house. I don't know why. But in my head.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
It would nothing was connected to the right movie in my head after this trip. I was like, we went and saw the birds and then some horror stuff. I don't know what it was.
Well, now you've seen the movie and you've been in the location. So,
yes.
But
it's like my favorite one. So
I love to hear that. But I didn't know this at the time, which I'm kind of bummed about. But the house we went to, Tatum and Dewey's house, is across the street from the house in The Shadow of a Doubt, which is one of my favorite Hitchcock movies.
Across the street?
Yeah. And I had no idea because this was before on set and everything. So I wasn't like, I was into it, but I was like, we're going for
you couldn't see it on a map. Yeah.
Exactly. If I had on set, I would have been able to go there.
There you go.
But yeah, and the house in the opening scene, which is Casey's house, was next to the house used in Cujo. If you guys have seen that movie.
No, I don't think I have.
I don't know. It's a rabid dog, so I don't know if you're into that.
I've heard you talk about Cujo.
It's a Stephen King story.
Oh, okay.
So it's good, but it is a little. It's like if you don't like rabid dogs, I wouldn't
Stephen King.
watch it.
I feel like it might make me sad. So
yeah, I don't know if I would watch it then because I know you guys. I feel like you guys would probably get a little sad.
I love dogs.
I know,
but like not rabid.
Love dogs. Hate rabies.
Hate them.
I have a feeling I know what your rating for this is going to be, but should we get into it?
Let's do it. I want to read one more trivia fact that I thought was interesting. So all the killer's phone calls they were like he was actually calling them at the time with a cell phone. And apparently at one point the crew they were contacted by the police demanding to know who they were because apparently they were getting so many like random calls. And like police were like, why is this random person calling all these? Like, I don't know. There was something with the police intervened apparently. And they were like, no, this is just a movie. But I feel like that would happen in the movie about the movie. Yeah, oh, dude. It's I don't know if you've seen the sequels, Joe, but like the third screen, they make a Stab movie, which is about Sydney. So they show the movie Stab in the movie Scream about Sydney's life. And it's a whole thing. So meta.
Whoa.
It's like the most meta movies ever, but I love it. But yes, let's rate it. This is to me is a perfect movie. I will say there is one thing that always doesn't bother me enough to make it less than a 10. My rating is a 10 out of 10, but I'm always confused. The scene where Fonzie, the Principal Henry, also, fun fact, sorry, I could do this all day. When he opens his closet in the principal's office, you can see his original Fonzie leather jacket hanging in the closet. So like that was kind of fun.
Oh, that's fun.
A little cool, a callback. But his death, I don't get it because like he dies, like apparently he's hung from the field goal post or something on the football field, and they're at Stu's house, right? And they get a call, and all the kids are like, "Oh, let's go check it out. Let's go see it." I'm like, do people
That's
want to
not a
go
normal
see
reaction.
that?
In hindsight, that should have been a red flag.
Well, I guess it makes sense because if Matthew Lillard's character was like that the whole time, like if all these kids are like that, I guess everyone's a suspect, as in Randy says. So who knows? But yeah, 10 out of 10. I'm gonna go with video stores because I missed the video store, and
So say it's always a great like
it's so good.
anytime anything's shot in like a blockbuster, or like a old video store, it's great. Also, random side note, in Zach Stone, his best friend works in a blockbuster, and so
No
like there's
way.
scenes like that. I mean, not
I
as
love
much, but
those scenes.
again, random thing that comes up, but I do love scenes shot in a video store.
They're the best. I've said this before, but I related myself to Jamie Kennedy in this as well. Just the whole horror movies, and I hope I'm not that weird like he is, but I don't know.
I always forget that like I know Jamie Kennedy from like pure like comedy world. And like
Right.
you always love Jamie Kennedy, and I used to like
From
never
this.
understand. Yeah, I'd be like, why do you love Jamie Kennedy? Like, what do you even watch with him in it? Kind of deal. So I never really put that together. A lot of Joe energy, yeah.
Yeah. So 10 out of 10 video stores. I could watch this over and over again. If you like horror, if you like slashers, if you like Wes Craven, give it a shot. If you haven't seen it, come on.
I mean, it's been out for a minute, so
Yes.
get after it. Yeah. I'm gonna go with a 9 because this is one of my favorite. This is one of my like I like it because I feel like it's not overly gory. It's a fun movie. It's I feel like it's the rom-com of horror movies. Like it just because it's like a funny, like enjoyable movie to watch, I guess is what I mean by that.
Yeah,
But
I could see that.
as far as units, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'll just do the 9. 9 Shaggies. I love that guy.
Love it.
9 Shaggies.
I will say, when I had to make my senior film, we had to like make a kind of like not a PowerPoint, like kind of like a slideshow of like references and like images. And one of my references for my villain was Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs and Stumacher from Scream. I was like, combination of those two guys.
I actually feel like they would get along. If they
I
were
know.
in the world.
But to this day, he's one of my favorite horror characters in any movie. He's just so good.
Interesting.
Jesse's like 2.
Well, I'm not gonna go 2, like 2.1. I mean, it was slightly better than Tusk. It was like a little bit better.
Kevin Smith almost did a Scream. I'm just kidding.
Oh my god.
Or Justin Long.
Justin Long. I could see Justin Long in a Scream. Not saying he'd be good, but I could see him being in one.
Okay. If he was like, I like him, but I feel like he'd be terrible in this. I've said that actually about him the past few times we've brought him up. Do I not like him?
I think it's JoJo rubbing off on you.
I think so.
He will forever be the
Accepted
Apple commercial guy.
It's so
and
good.
accepted.
Yeah.
Accepted. I'm gonna give it a 9 too.
Hey,
It's like a fake 9, but like
That made me so happy.
all 9s.
I will say, just because it was such a pleasant surprise. Because like anytime you pick a horror movie, I'm usually like, this is probably gonna be garbage.
I know.
But like this is like the same as Halloween to me, where I'm like, I've did we reviewed the original? Did we? No, we just
Not
talked about
yet.
Okay, because I was gonna say I don't remember rating the original, but it's that same like. I just really liked Halloween, and I still wouldn't say I like horror movies. But if someone was like pick horror movies, I'd be like Scream and Halloween for sure.
I
like
watched
those
Halloween,
2.
but I watched the wrong movie.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. So I'll give it a 9 just because it was like in the horror category. Like this is
Rom-com
out
of
there.
horrors.
If you had to pick a horror movie up your alley, this would maybe be it.
Yeah, and it just feels like the classic horror movie. Like
Yeah.
you can't go wrong. You don't even really have to love horror. I mean, if you hate horrors, it's not like you're probably gonna like
It's
this,
even
but
like just unapologetically like following the horror movie formula. Like,
Right. It like makes
yeah.
fun of itself.
Well, I was
right.
gonna say, like you said,
Like-
it's kind of like scary movie, but it
Right.
still has to be in the horror world. It can't actually be a horror movie because then it
Right.
would be a comedy.
Exactly.
And not that I wouldn't again, like I mean, it's because these weird like horror comedy horror things, like, and because I love comedy, like I still wouldn't ever be like, it's hilarious. I love this film. It's funny, but it is like it's just a classic. It's done so well. I like that it's like self-aware and kind of just like normal. Like
Yeah.
how I mean, Halloween's a little less normal than this, but
This is
there's
definitely
just
more normal.
there's just that more like real, not like a crazy villain storyline, just like a
Yeah.
I don't know. There needs to be like it's not mumblecore of horror, but like you know,
Yeah.
there needs to be a term for this, like
I know
where
what
it's
you
kind of
mean.
just like a more real, ongoing thing.
Right.
And like such a great setup for a franchise, also too. Like,
Yeah. And the sequels are
Amazing
actually I like the
setup.
sequels, so
yeah, I'm very excited to see the rest. And again, like even I think of usually like the acting in these not being great.
They're great.
Like, as in just like in general, people are like, I love horror movies, but it's never like I love horror movies because of the acting. Like I've never heard that before. But so like this is also like really impressive. People like nailed their roles.
Couldn't agree more.
So we'll go 9. We'll give it a 9.
Hey, I love that, man. That makes me so
Love
happy.
it. I think, is this our highest rated movie?
Well, technically Inside was all no, we all gave it a 10 except for
right.
you.
So it's
No,
still
I
average
amended
higher.
it. I amended my
Average.
rating the week later.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also love this because it's funny, like watching horror like now and like, you know, over the past like 10 years, like so many movies tried to be Scream, but none of them have like succeeded. Like it's kind of crazy what effect this had on horror. Like this changed everything. Like cell phones, caller ID, like I don't know, just high school killing. Like it's just I don't know, it's mind blowing to me. Here's a
It's unique, but in a good way.
yes, exactly.
This is exactly what it is.
I just love all the references. Like even Halloween, like in the very beginning, when Drew Barrymore's parents are in their house and they're like, run next door, call the Mackenzies. In Halloween, she goes to tell the kids to go to the Mackenzies, the next door neighbor. There's just so many this movie is a reference. It's like made for horror nerds, and I love it.
Say horror is like a genre that's like full of like inside jokes. It's for like
Yes.
insiders
Yes.
as a genre.
But I'm glad that you guys can like it as well. And it's funny because like I would say most people I show this to who aren't into the genre as much or like they don't watch a lot of horror, they love it. Like I watch this every like October. Like this is one of my Halloween movies. And it's like, I mean, I honestly probably watch it more than once a year, let's be honest. But I love to show people this because this is such a fun movie to watch with like your friends because you don't have to pay attention too much. You can just kind of throw it on, talk a little bit, be like, oh, what's going on? Like, because usually a lot of times I don't like when people talk during movies. Well, specific movies. Let's be okay. Specific movies. But
Careful.
like Midsummer, don't talk during Midsummer. That you got to focus on everything. But this movie, have fun. Get some drinks, talk. Like they're having fun at the party when they're watching Halloween.
I agree. I think it's just like a fun movie. It's also like a good like dip your toe into horror kind of.
Yes, that's a great way to describe it. Dip your toe into horror.
Yeah. It's like a gateway drug to horror.
Yes. That's a great way to describe it. Love it. I should probably stop myself before I keep talking.
We can just like we'll get off and then you can solo record like 45 minutes to add on to the end of the podcast.
I love it. Well, okay, so I think you said this earlier, Jesse, but you're open to seeing the other Scream movies?
Yeah, I'll watch the others eventually.
I will say they're all they have the same tone, same vibe. Like they're all like this. So the newer ones, like it's similar to this, but it's a little more serious, I would say. But it's still really good, and it's
Are they
not
all the
as
same time, like all the same?
Oh yeah, same.
Like it just happens after.
Sydney, Dewey, and Gail are in all of them.
Gotcha. Cool.
So great trio right there. And Nev just gets better, and she's so good and everything. So
yeah,
she's
by the
great.
end, right? You're like, oh, okay, this keeps happening. Come on. Sucks.
I know. Like in the new one, he's like all disheveled and he's just like, it's happening again. I'm just like, I think we all
Just like,
feel
oh,
that way.
fuck.
But I really want to show you Scream 4 because Rory Culkin is in it and he's really good in it. And he reminds me of JT a lot in that movie. Not because of like his character, but he kind of looks like JT. He's a little kid who was in Signs as well, and he looks just like JT as a little kid.
I can already see this. Like, yeah.
Maybe not so much in Scream, but definitely Signs. I was like getting JT vibes.
I love it. We have to get JT on the pod.
Seriously.
Yeah.
He'll have a good pick too. I don't know what it'll be, something real weird, but like I'm all for
weird,
it.
like
He'll have a good pick.
like yeah.
I would be into it.
All right. So we probably don't have any news because we just recorded an episode. So
Let's just do the same news for a few episodes. Broad City, you were watching Broad City.
yeah. So I watched a show called Search Party. I'm scared.
Oh my god. Have you guys, I know I mentioned it last week. Have you watched Search Party yet? We talked about it last week. I thought you said you'd watch it.
I think you should reiterate.
Is it on
Check
Apple
out.
TV?
Okay.
I think Spider-Man
Hey.
also just came out.
All right. So before we record the next podcast, watch Search Party.
Okay. Also, before you listen to this one, listen to the one before this so you get the movie news.
And we're watching The Ledge next.
The Ledge. Oh, yes. Which I'm very excited to talk about.
So like if you want to send in your reviews, just like look at the poster, don't watch the movie and send in those reviews.
Sad enough, no one sent in anything for The Ledge. So
There's still
Think
time.
shocker
There's
there.
still-
true that. I'll do another post. I think it deserves a second posting.
Yes.
Yeah. Give it a second
Um,
chance.
All right,
No,
cool.
whatever.
Well, we should wrap this up. I know it's getting late for you guys, but Scream, I'm glad you guys liked it. Jesse, I'm very happy that you liked it because I had no idea what you were gonna think. I knew there were some parts I think you would like, but
When I was like, oh, I actually think I like this, I was like, Joe's gonna be so happy.
I am very happy,
Yes.
dude. This was all I was hoping for. Like, I just wanted a horror movie where I like that movie, and it's different than like Get Out, where you appreciated the movie but you didn't like love it.
Oh, I hated that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was like, it's a great movie, but I hated it.
Exactly, but you actually enjoyed this one, so that makes me very happy. And we've all been in locations, which makes it even better.
It was
Finally
blur.
succeeded.
Again because it never really clicked in my head that was Scream until because I hadn't seen it.
Right.
So then I watched it and I was like, oh, very cool.
Cool.
Also on the clipboard is the exclamation slate. Is that part of the title?
It is not.
Officially? Okay. I
I was
didn't
just
know. I
really
saw it and
excited when he wrote it.
Jojo wrote it actually. That was it's either we're trying to avoid copyright issues or now it's part of our brand.
Yeah.
There you go.
Either way. All right, sweet. That is a wrap for Scream.